In the early 1900s, farmers worked their land using horse plow systems. At this time, 40 to 50 hours were spent to produce 100 bushels of wheat per 5 acres. The average farm size was a half section of land, which was 320 acres. In the 20s, a revolution of farm machinery was just beginning. However, most farmers still farmed with horses. In the early 30s was the start of a 10-year drought and the Depression. The land turned to dust, sweeping away rich prairie soil. Farmers adapted to the dry weather with different tilling methods. At the same time, bigger and better tractors with new rubber wheels were introduced in the 30s. During the 40s and 50s, tractors became more powerful, hydraulic systems were introduced, and made it possible to control larger implements. Horses finally lost their jobs in grain production after World War II. Self-propelled combines were also introduced. In the early 50s, farmers began to expand and improve their farms with larger tractors, and the land base began to increase from a half section to a whole section. In the late 50s to early 60s, the introduction of hydraulics became common on many farms. This reduced labor time and increased the capability of using larger equipment complete with power steering. Other equipment around the farm, such as front-end loaders and dump trucks, utilized the technology of hydraulics. In the mid to late 60s, four-wheel drive tractors were introduced. With the added technology to farm equipment, in 1965 it took a farmer only 5 hours to produce 100 bushels of wheat. This was a reduction of manpower of 800%. In the 70s, technology continued to improve in farm equipment. Cabs were introduced, which increased comfort but were not perfect. Ventilation became an issue and cabs were loud. Tractors could be equipped with two-way radios to communicate with others working nearby. In the 80s, proper ventilation, soundproofing, and brighter cab lights became common. This allowed the farmer to extend his hours of production in the field past sunset. Hydraulics became more efficient, engines were growing in size, and four-wheel drives became standard on most main farm tractors. Through the 90s, technology changes in the mechanics of farm equipment helped to improve their efficiency. Mobile phones became an essential tool in the 21st century. It enabled farmers to communicate with workers in fields long distances away. From 2001 to 2003, global positioning systems were introduced and allowed farmers to drive hands-free in a near-perfect straight lines, reducing overlap, which cut down time, fuel, and labor costs. In 2006, computer technology allows better controls of implements and helps increase productivity. They can be controlled with touch screens inside the cab. From 2008 to present, with cell phones and GPSs, farmers have immediate access to weather reports, grain prices, and all the commodity markets. Today, it takes less than 1 hour to produce 100 bushels of wheat. Average farms are around 4,500 acres, which is an increase of 1,400% from only 100 years ago. Farms constantly continue to grow in size, and farmers embrace new technology as it increases their production, reduces labor costs, and saves them money. This is 100 years of man and machine.